caindo.
Hello once again, YouTube. So, before I start the video, I'm just going to say that the winners of, not winners, but they're going to give away, the outro contest kind of thing, thank you to, boop, 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 I'm just going to put them on the screen, thank you to these people who suggested the outro. Number 3, which is the winner. I got so many messages. I got text messages. I got Xbox messages. I got comments. I got everything, but by far number 3 was the most requested. And I'll play it right now for you.
Tell me pretty lies, look me in the face, tell me that you love me, even if it's fake.
Yes, so thank you for everybody who participated and who commented what they want, and just in all seriousness, just so on to the lore. Hello once again, YouTube. So if you follow me on Google+, I stated a not quick, but like a description of what I was going to be for lore. And some people actually got the message, because I actually got messages that were saying, the last word, and that's what I'm doing. If you didn't know, the description I put was, yours, not mine, which is the quote from it, basically saying, I'm trying to remember the names, but yours, not mine, Regicide Hunter to Dregger Yor. Now, I'm going to completely show you a quick, brief description of it in probably 30 seconds. Thorn, which was probably the best weapon in Year 1, and I'd actually seen people still use it. There used to be a rose, aka a hunter artifact, Regicide Hunter artifact, called Rose of Dregger Yor. Now, Dregger Yor was a person that got corrupted by the darkness, most like Tolman the Shattered. And then, the rose then got corrupted. Its entire petals fell off and became a thorn of the rose. And that is basically the entire lore summed up to one, but I'm going to debrief it. Now, like I said in my Slender the Arrival video, this video is going to be at least 20 minutes long. I have 5 water bottles prepared. I have throat medicine. I have cough medicine. I don't know. But I'm prepared for my throat to become very, very dry. So, this is a theory with evidence of how the first Gunslinger came to be in the lore of Destiny. It's mad long, but it has a great backstory of Gunslingers, Last Word, and Thorn. This references of Grimoire cards and definitions of Bungie. Bellow main story post, which is part of the Destiny lore, but I'll stress again that later, which is the theory that you can come up with alternatives of mine. I'm gonna judge. Also, I've written the references of the Grimoire cards with the analysis, either during the time of the story or each paragraph. So, this is what I'm going to be debriefing. 1/3 of this entire story is set in the Dark Age, which is the last city of the rumor. 1/3 of this story is set during the City Age, which is possibly a few years of the decades, and before the events of Destiny, and the last third is the setting of Destiny, more or less. So, I've actually stated this before, that the timeline we're in, I'm going to get to game theorist mode, the timeline we're in, it started with the Golden Age. That's basically when the Traveler came to Earth after going to all these planets, and shined its light upon the Earth, and created guardians and ghosts and stuff. Then, as we advanced, we got into the City Age, which is basically us making the tower and all the cities and stuff. And then the Collapse, which is, well, actually, the Dark Age after the City Age, which is basically where darkness found the Traveler and decided to corrupt everything. And the basically the Dark Age, which the timeline theoretically is what we're in right now, is basically the aftermath of everything, but we're still kind of in it. Now, during the City Age, the Vanguard tried to take back the moon from the Hive God, but failed with countless lives of lost to Crota, a servant of the high god named Oryx. But I'm not going to get into that. A terrible fate for those who survive, traumatized, which I've actually stated before. Eris, who has 3 eyes for some god-awful reason, and Tolan, which got corrupted by the darkness, and the other chick that I can't remember the name of, that possibly survived. Now, the Grimoire cards in chronological order that support this theory. Okay, so this is in order. Ghost Fragment, the last word 1. Ghost Fragment, the last word 2. Ghost Fragment, the Dark Age 2. Ghost Fragment, Thorn 1. Ghost Fragment, Thorn 2. Okay, so story time. Grimoire card, last word fragment 1. Shinmar, so I believe that the majority of Grimoire cards are written by the name made Shin Marfer. When he was older, as the recount of life, he mentioned at the start that there is no one to say otherwise. And his memories as to say that everyone involved in his life died. More on later anyway that the guy who grew up outside of the city, place called Palmalon. Not sure which continent it's on, but it's Wild Western, kind of like a America-themed story. Now, nobody really knows where Destiny is, except the fact that it's in Russia, because it's old Russia, and there's many things that state that's in Russia. But we never really knew his parents, as Dregs killed him at a young age, and he couldn't, remember them. So he was raised by an area of different people throughout his life, coming to a total of 3 different fathers in total. His real father, his second father, and an unnamed, his third, Jared Ward. You probably heard him before. He's in a couple of the, I believe, artifacts, or he's in some statements. But he mentions that he remembers hearing rumors about the city of Paradise, which everyone on Palmalon wanted to go to and leave their current home. The town has no real government, but there was law, an old man named Token who probably took in charge of the town as sort of a mayor. People did not leave. Actually, people did leave as he took over, probably for the great city, and some stayed under his rule. He protected the town from the fallen, most likely in a group of few people, so the town really didn't have to fight with the Token, and they used him for protection. He did seem broken at heart, sad as if he lost someone in his life. More on that later. He says that his life was normal as a kid until 2 men entered my world. One of light, the other of darkness. Shall I never know? There are 2 people who fit the description very strongly. Jared Ward being the man of pure light, and Gregory Yor, who is a darkness shadow. More on, Yor later, like I described in the 30-second thing that I tried to remember from my head. Jared Ward was Shin's 3rd father, probably after the 2nd father died, and also his closest friend. He basically idolized Jared for the first time he ever met him. Now, this is basically a summary right now. One day, Jared Ward came to Palmalon. Shin did not know him at the time, but it was obvious that everybody else in Palmalon town did know him. They all stood outside their houses and stared at the town courtyard, where Shin and his second father stood. Shin instantly noticed that Jared's gone and walking toward the town center. As Shin was memorized by his pistol, and so that he could feel the light radiating out of his weapon. He looked like heroes in the stories, unlike any other in his town. It's odd that the entire town had come to direct him, and no one walked up to him, and they just waited for an official greeting of the Token. Shin himself wasn't sure if the town didn't greet him out of fear or respect. Shin was impatient, but decided to meet him with a heroic figure, shaking free of his father's hands and running across the courtyard to get him. Jared kneeled down to meet Shin, but all Shin could do was look at the piece of trixified by it. He was so close, imagining the horrors it had seen, or will see. Jared took out his belt and held it to Shin, as if an offering. Shin took it, looked back at his father, and saw the faces of all the town people. Their faces were written with worry. His father shaking his hand not ready to accept the offering. Shin takes it and feels gently to observe it in its own weight, but mostly to know its truth. That is the first time I ever held the last word, but unfortunately not the last. Get it? Shin would eventually be Jared's ward and become a legendary hunter, one of the greatest guardians to defend Traveler's Light. So I'm going to summarize this basically up here. This is in chronological order. The story chronologically doesn't mean the Man of Darkness until after the story became Man of Light. What a coincidence, more to come later. Shin was still a young kid, and this connected Jared and the Man of Light from the previous story, as a strong point here and confirmed the next story. The town worries of Jared handling the gun to a boy, maybe because it was heard of him next, and the bad guy or fearing that would come next. Would the town be worried if his son could not see the cool gun up close? Father and the own town people probably should know. Not that Shin meant by its own truth, comment if you have an idea. Why would Shin say, but unfortunately not the last? If he loved the gun so many ways, why would he regret to future unfortunately wield it again? More on that soon. What's hiding in Jared's past that makes the town people feel afraid of this heroic man? Now this is Ghost Fragment Dark Age 2, the start. Shin began keeping track of Jared, following him by his side, mapping out his memorisms and such and such and such. His troubles understanding Jared as if it were a part of his story. I'd never seen anything like him. He was more to us. Better not. But superior just more. As time went on, Jared confronted Loken in the courtyard where it all began. Loken is surrounding Jared with his forces, confusing the guns around him. Jared and his father are there. Loken himself is pleased at the current situation, where they find themselves in as if Loken was planning to eventually happen. Loken walks up to Jared and, yelling at him in front of the crowd, "You question me?" with venom in his voice, hinting that maybe it's something more personal. This is not your home. Shin wanted his father to try to stop it, but realized that his father did not want it to stop. Neither did the crowd gather to watch him. Shin continued to watch the Loken taunted Jared, and notice last word, remember its weight, effortless. As my concern faded, Shin explained. Token, now saying that it's town of his own, Jared spoke clear, calm. Not anymore. Token laughed at his dissimully. There are going to be last words then, boy. Your movements were flashed, quick and the chaining lightning. Ward spoke as if his eyes moved. Yours, not mine. Loken now shot dead, a dark hole in his forehead, eyes staring into eternity. With men with his guns, quickly ran off as not to be shot. A few short years later, a lot of lives were ended. Shin Melford. So I was going to summarize this up, but basically it all said itself. They had this big old fight, and the dude noticed that his gun and started saying a bunch of stuff, and then the dude holding the gun was like, yours, not mine. That's why it's the description. Regicide Hunter was supposedly Loken, but we're not going to get into that. And Jerry Yor was supposedly the other dude that was fighting. Now, we have to assume a lot of this part can be moved on, which comes next. So, a lot of things have changed, and now the city era, and Shin is now Guardian Hunter, who is fighting back from his place. The city age have developed, and humanity getting back on its feet. But connection with Hamelon town is almost non-existent with the government. So by this, basically, Shin is the Regicide Hunter, but Jaguar will be soon mentioned. Basically, the Vanguard is about to start their assault on the moon and retake it from the Hive. Most Guardians are willing to go and fight for humanity, and Jared is one of them. But more important on his event is life, no more chronological order for the Shin to become a Guardian, Jared to go to the moon, and a couple years apart, basically. Now this is Ghost Fragment Thorn 1. More analysis, less summary. Now this is where we get into Jaguar, the Rose of Jaguar and Thorn. Basically, it starts with a nobleman of those who looked up to them, and for he was a beacon hope given from. Yet, still human. In his wake, hope spread. This noble guy's name isn't mentioned, although it links up with the story that he was Jared Ward. It continues, if one man could stand against the night, then so could anyone, everybody, which is basically a direct connection with anyone who has been in the mood for the Vanguard in Division, linking to Jared even more. And then it goes on to say that he held a rose and his aura burned bright. Keep in mind that the rose and his aura burned as the main key to the theory. Then the story takes turn. The man held a secret fear. His thoughts were dark. A sadness crept from the depth of being followed. He had been a hero for so long, but pride had led him down the sorrow's road, and the hero of light had dark secrets. I believe that is the man that came so close to the moon and had experienced something which had broken his spirit. Possibly someone close to them dying as if they failed to save him, which would be pride leading to the sorrow's path. This darkness not only could be seen by Jared Ward, but the old warlock Osiris, click here to view that video, also experienced the darkness and became obsessed with stopping it. Although it is lost to misery, but the story for some time, this Jared guy had heard in shadows, whispers became a voice, and a dark call offering glories enough to even make the brightest light wander. He knew that his fading, even though he still yearned. And when the warlock on the moon interrogated the high wizard, she mentioned speaking through the minds as telepathy. And his links with the darkness being hive influence from the moon experiences this noble man, almost identical represent from Jared Ward, the brightest light, also referred to Jared. And moving along on his last day, he sat watching the sun fall, his final thoughts, pure of mind, not of body, had fleeing hope, and they would suffer the man that he become. Some stuff about Jared is falling into darkness. He knows that he is about to succumb to the darkness, and also the sunset of light disappearing from the world as it becomes night. As is happening, which is an English technique about writing in cool stuffs, he knows that his final thoughts as a man of light would he mention as fleeing hope. Darkness, this hopes that the last of his light, which could be divided by hive-coded darkness, and the light would become part of that which finally one with the darkness. This light is a key point. As follows, basically what this meant was that there was a dude, and as he sat on the sunset, he basically had an entire epilepsy of just thoughts and stuff. I don't know if I used that right. Is the word of the day app working? I don't know. But basically the old man had himself under the darkness with no flesh would touch, and give up his mortal self to claim the birthright. In the cold air, as dusk by devoured, the night the nobleman ceased to exist. In his place another stood. Same meat, same bone, but very different. Same stuff before him, officially churning, not with birthright, but maybe the glories of darkness offered, aka thorn. The dusk turned into night as sunset thingy again. Time for plot twisting. The first thing only of this family, the full sword bearer, and last descendant, Yor. And basically what this is, Yor as of the last descendant of the name Yor. So this is how the story of Yor, the once hero of light, but didn't make a full connection, that was Jared. This is basically a theory, not a fact. Although the evidence is strong, he is forebearer the last descent, meaning that nobody else had the last name and complete idea of his new alias. Plot twist doesn't end here, though. In the first moments of the new being, he looked down at his rose and realized the first time it had no petals, only jagged purpose of angry thorns. And the angry pay at this point, and explain at the darkness very soon that you think of the petals as light and the thorns as darkness. So that's actually very self-explanatory. So this is ghost fragment number 2, the bloom. And this is a transcript of events within Yor and 2 of the 3 bandits found within resting of somewhere in Palmalon, it opens like this, a key point of associations. Its type is a transcript, description of conversation, parties 3, 4, unidentified, 1 confirmed. Associations, Breaklands, Durga, last word, Alpha, Shin, North Channel, Palmalon, Thorn, Valor, Ward, Jared, WOS, Your Dragon. Now, that was a lot to handle, so let me just break this down. So, its associations was the Breakland, the Durga, last word, Shin Malfer, but Malfer Shin because it's written backwards in theoretical sense. The North Channel, Palamon, Thor, Veller, Jared Ward, WS, who actually I don't know what the hell that stands for, and Dragon Yor. WOS is an abbreviation for Aloysius. It doesn't really mean anything. It'll say in associations, it's as if records of time. The place of Shin and Yor, I believe that is roughly translate to Shin Malfor, is located at Durga at the Breaklands, equipped with last word. Dragon Ward slash, wait, I said that wrong, but it's basically the same. Ward. Jared actually would be Dragon Yor if theoretically speaking. It's currently located at Palmalon in the North Channel, equipped with Thorn. I'm not sure that Veller could be mean, but leave a comment if you have an idea. Now, there's a couple of main points, but what does this have to do with the first gunslinger, as I stated at the title? You now know the story of Shin Malfor and Dragon War, and this leads to the ultimate conclusion of the story. Imagine you're Shin Malfor for a moment. Wouldn't you be mad, as a guardian who had been raised by a legendary hunter, if turned himself into the darkness and become evil? Probably you would. It's basically betrayal. Now, here's the description of the last word. Yours, not mine. Regicide hunter Shin Malfor to Dragon Yor. During the showdown at Dweller's Range. Now, what's funny is, all these are mentioned inside of the lore and Destiny itself. Dweller's Range being a map of the Crucible, and Showdown being to a Western term to shootout or maybe dawn. Dragon being aka Jared with the Rose of Dragon, and he actually held Thorn, which if we look back, rewind sound, Jared Ward is currently located at Palmalon North Channel, equipped with Thorn. So what this means is that Dragon is Jared. It's confirmed, not really made as confirmed as, it's just a theory. I don't know. But what people thought was that Regicide Hunter and Shin Malfor. But Regicide Hunter was Shin Malfor. That's who it was. But Shin eventually confronts Yor in some sort of showdown at the end to finish things. You could probably tell what Regicide he was so mad about Yor. He became a Regicide Guardian. Why? Shin ironically kills Dragon Yor with last word at Dweller's Range, location unknown, aka Earth. At the fact that he used last word in his plot hole. As he said in B form, so does the Shin use last word become Thorn, which you are used to fight simple with Golden Gun. Now this is the story of the first gunslinger, which I find it very ironic. Why is last word become Thorn, but you can equip them at the same time? Now this is not really more as identification because you can kill orcs multiple times, but you can still do that. So this is not very a Destiny problem. It actually becomes Thorn, but they're both hand cannons, and they look very similar. Like, if you do a side-by-side, they look very similar. And if you recall that the very moments that yours said was for, he held on to a fleeting hope, which, in Thought of Light, his description as a normal man with a bright burning aura, his last hope for the light aura to survive, how the aura hope light left his body and became complete darkness. But the light lived into the world. Shin hoped to find light and the very same bright burning aura. He used this Light that survived to summon the last word from the light, as ironic as it is, kill the darkness of Dragon Yor, and Light. When you use your golden gun in the game, you are tapping into the light of a beacon, hope given form. The greatest hunter to defend the traveler as you glow, burning bright, as if you were on fire, which you are. Which in his aura that lives through the light, a man so strong, his light is the power behind thousands of guardians in the future. Therefore, Shin Malphur is the very first gunslinger, as we know of. This is supported by the fact that Shin would not have unfortunately held last word, again, unfortunately because he killed him with it, as if there was a Grimoire card about it when this all went down. I believe it would have happened like this. The ending of a great legend, the beginning of a new one. Shodan generally was ranged. Shin wasn't going after Yor to kill the new rising threat. He was there to settle an old score left by his mentor. He faced Dragon Yor as demonic revolver Thorn, using the experience that he'd gained eventually overpowered Yor and his techniques and skills. They say that next generations will overcome the last. And proof of it. Yor was on his knees as a hero, but as a shade. Now he had felt something inside of him. A flicker. In his soul, a crack. No spark left of light. And re-emerged. As light as it may be, Yor felt the presence of another man inside of him. Jared Ward. Yor dismissed it completely and looked up to the face of Shin, who was pacing towards him. Confused as he inspects Shin's, his aura knew about them, he burned bright, as on fire. The spark in the darkness kindled brighter, as he knew if it was his last hope of Jared Ward, for the light is moving on. His Shin gun, though, he knows Shin's gun was different now. Last word, what an end, he smirked. And that's basically how you have it. That was not actually as long as I was expecting it to be, but the entire story of Shin, Jared, Last Word, Thorn, and how we know of Gunslinger to become a me. I want to thank everybody who suggested this. There was actually a lot of people who requested this, both on my Google Plus, in the comments, on Xbox, just insane. But I don't know. That's basically it. So if you enjoyed the video and you want to see more Destiny lore, and if you actually enjoy this series, hit that like button. It helps me out a lot. And comment down below what you want for next week's lore video. And until next time, I'm IceGH Gamings, signing out. Nah.